Welcome to today's lesson, which is about expanding algebraic expressions. The goal of today's lesson is that you can use the distributive property to expand algebraic expressions with fractional, decimal, and negative factors. So here we're going to distribute 1/2 over 2x plus 4. So I'm going to do this in 3 steps. The first step, I'm going to draw arrows. I'm going to multiply by 2x by 1/2 and 4 by 1/2. That's my first step. My second step, I will state explicitly what I am going to multiply. I'm going to multiply 1/2 by 2x and I'm going to multiply 1/2 by 4. And my third step, I do the multiplication. 1/2 of 2 is 1, so I can say 1x or just x, and 1/2 of 4 is 2, so x plus 2. So that's my final expression in 3 steps. So here's another example, and this time we're going to work with a negative sign. So I've had students who use color. They do something like this. For the first step, they draw their arrows, 0.7 times 0.2t, and also 0.7 times -3, and they circle the negative like that. And now for the second step, you'll say, I'm going to multiply 0.7 by 0.2t, and I'm going to multiply 0.7 by -3. And then for the third step, 0.7 times 0.2t is equal to 0.14t, and 0.7 times -3 is -2.1, and that's your final expression. 0.14t minus 2.1. Sometimes you'll see where you've got to use the distributive property and then combine like terms. You don't combine your like terms first. Do the distributing first. Think of order of operations, where you're going to multiply before adding. So here we're going to distribute, and you might say, what am I distributing? There is no number outside the parentheses, but actually here you've got, it's a given that it's a 1, and in this case it's -1 because you've got a negative sign there. So I'm going to multiply, I'm going to circle it like that so I don't lose the negative. -1 times 1.2x and -1 times 7. And then I will add the 1.5x at the end. So that's my first step. Second step, I'm going to state my multiplication. -1 multiplied by 1.2x, and then plus -1 times 7. And then I will add 1.5x at the end. So -1 times times 1.2x is -1.2x, and -1 times 7 is -7, and then we're going to still have the 1.5x. And now I'm going to combine my like terms. So first I am going to use the commutative property of addition to bring like terms together. And here I have -1.2x plus 1.5x. I'm going to say it, or even write it the other way around. I'm going to use blue. 1.5x minus 1.2x is 0.3x and then minus 7. 0.3x minus 7. So I distributed first and then combined like terms. And here we have more negatives. So I'm going to multiply negative 7 by y and negative 7 by 2t. And I'm going to multiply negative 3 times y and negative 3 times negative t. And you'll notice that I circle the negatives with the number or the variable that they apply to each time, just so that I don't lose that negative. So that was my first step. My second step, I'm going to write out what I'm going to multiply. I'm going to multiply negative 7 by y, and I'm going to multiply negative 7 by 2t. I'm going to multiply negative 3 by y and negative 3 times negative t. And I will get negative 7y minus 14t minus 3y plus 3t. And I'm going to use the commutative property of addition to bring like terms closer to each other, or next to each other. So minus 7y, I'm going to bring this next, minus 3y, and then minus 14t plus 3t. And again, I had a negative here. As you can see, I've brought that down here. So now let's combine the y's first. Negative 7y minus 3y, negative 10y, negative 14t plus 3t, negative 11t. So when distributing, draw arrows, state what you are going to distribute, and then do your calculations. So 3 steps. Watch out for negative signs. Draw a ring around them if it helps you keep them with the term they belong to. And if a problem requires both the distributive property and combining like terms, do the distributing first and then combine like terms. I say that there's an exception. For example, if you had 3 times 2x plus 4x plus 5, within the parentheses you could combine 2x and 4x, 3 times 6x plus 5, and then do the distributing. But if you're combining with terms that are outside plus 7x, don't combine this with the terms inside the parentheses until you've done the distributing. So you saw today how to use the distributive property to expand algebraic expressions with fractional, decimal, and negative factors. And that's the end of today's lesson.